Hello and welcome to Setting Up a Still Life. My name is Eric and today we're going to talk about setting up a still life using some pretty basic objects. Starting off with paper towel roll, cardboard box, and some aluminum foil. So those are our three materials that we're going to need today. We will also need a sketchbook as well as something to write with because we're going to be making some loose sketches, some thumbnails of these compositions. So to start off, you're going to take your aluminum foil and you are going to line your box with that foil. So I have two pieces here, getting the back section, push that corner down. And I have one larger piece that I'm going to drape across the edges. It doesn't really matter if you crinkle this more or less. The goal is that we are using two vastly different materials. The paper and the foil, both will receive the light much differently. The paper will be much more soft as far as their gradations, and the foil will be much more dramatic, as you can already see as you look in here. Dark and light value very dramatically showing here. So we have our setup here, our box. I actually cut the front off here. That makes it a little bit easier to see in there. You don't have to do that depending on your perspective, that's fine. You will then put the roll of toilet paper somewhere in the box, and you're going to be planning composition. So I'm going to unravel a little bit of this here. The goal, guys, is to try and create a dynamic composition with just these two materials. Now, sometimes it's difficult to translate from a three-dimensional world, this whole setup, to a two-dimensional representation of that setup. But that is the goal that we're going to be trying to do for this first assignment. So I've set up a composition here, fairly basic. You can choose to be more of a basic composition or a much more complex composition. There's pros and cons to both. Sometimes getting too complex can be confusing to the viewer, but to each their own. So I am then going to set up my sketchbook, which I have here, and I'm going to start planning composition. My first question is going to be if I want a horizontal or a vertical composition. Keep in mind that your canvases will be larger in one dimension than they are in another. You may have 20 by 24 inches or 16 by 20 inches. Whatever it is, there's going to be a dimension that's longer. You will not have square canvases. They're actually kind of hard to find at larger sizes. First question is vertical or horizontal. I'm going to start with a horizontal, then we're going to do a vertical. So we have a nice horizontal composition planned here, with the subject matter in the bottom right, moving across. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to start with a sketch here. You'll notice that I'm not really measuring anything. I'm just planning a composition with some basic lines, and then I'm going to start sketching. So here we go. I'm going to start sketching what I see here. Here's the roll. Paper moves up to a corner. Back out to the front. There's going to be a ground plane of the foil. It's going to help differentiate the composition and the actual physical plane of the drawing. I'm less interested in specific details. I'm more interested in the movement of the composition. If you find that adding minor bits of value help, I think that's a good way of helping you see a more realistic composition, because movement of the composition is very important, obviously. But also dynamic value, which is going to be one of the things that we're really trying to focus on in this painting. So very basic here, guys. I'm expecting you guys to draw about a 5-minute thumbnail per thumbnail, and I'm requiring you to draw 3 thumbnails, 3 plans. One other thing before I change my still life here, I do recommend also taking a quick photo of your still life, so you'll have a photo and a sketch. The main reason for that is that after I move this, it's going to be almost impossible to put this back exactly how it is, but we'll get close with a photo and our sketch. Okay, so sketch, photo, check, check, move to the second composition. So I'm going to move my paper here. I'm going to maybe unravel a little bit more. And the first one was a horizontal composition. For the second one, I'm going to try and do more of a vertical composition. Vertical compositions are easy, guys, as far as how you're planning. even if you have a horizontal buildup, it's very easy to just crop a certain section. I get a little bit lost in here, so I'm going to pull this out a little bit more. More negative space between different parts of the roll will help you differentiate the space that's being created. Okay, so now we have another composition. We're going to try it vertical. Same thing in my sketchbook. I'm going to draw a very basic shape that is larger in one dimension than the other. This is taller than it is wide. This was wider than it is tall, horizontal, vertical. And now we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to plan what we see here. So let's see if we can do this. The roll. Here's some movement off the back edge. Coming up, engaging this back corner. Straight across. This is coming up and across. It's okay if things come off the edge of your canvas. It's actually called an open element within your composition, and it actually engages the edge of your canvas better. So it's totally fine. As you can see here, this paper is coming up and then moving off the top right portion of the canvas, and then coming back in on the middle right side. So it creates a nice movement for the viewer to understand how this is happening. A couple ground planes to help us see where we're at. I do not want you to come in, once again, and do too much foil work. As you can see here, there is some very dynamic foil stuff happening here. And you can add some of them if that is beneficial, if that helps you see. But there's going to be a lot of noise, a lot of things happening. And the most important thing right now is getting the roll accurately placed in your composition. So here are two compositions, horizontal, vertical. I'm expecting you to give me 3 thumbnail sketches along with photos if you prefer. You can do a photo and a sketch or just a sketch. I think the photos are a really good way of making sure that this stays true to your original composition. Put this down a little bit so you can see it better. Sketches for 3, photos, and we're going to have those. Once those are due, we're going to take our most successful still life sketch, thumbnail of that still life, and we are going to create a painting off of those thumbnails. So this is an important step to developing a successful painting. A lot of people want to just jump into painting right away, but I promise a little bit of planning goes a long, long way, and this is our planning stage. So paper towel, foil, cardboard box, sketchbook, something to draw with. You're going to set up your box with foil. Give me 3 unique compositions with your toilet paper. You'll then give me 3 thumbnail sketches from that planning to move forward and make a successful painting for our first painting this semester.